Welcome to On Air, everyone. I am Olivia. I am happy to be with you with my partner in crime, my better half, Eric Louise Brenneman.
Eat. You actually made me when I had a mustache, and I'll take Eric Luigi Brenneman, because there are some pictures out there floating around when I may or may not have dyed that stupid thing pitch black at the firehouse,
Yeah. Well, you had
and it
messaged
looked like
me and you were
I
like,
was Mario or Luigi. Yeah.
and I remember you messaging me about like the mascara to dye your mustache, and I said get
Yes.
brown. They didn't have brown, so you did black. It was
And it looked awful. Like
very
it literally looks like Mario or Luigi. So I'll take Eric Luigi Brenneman. And
But yes, I did fall in love with you with that mustache. That is true. And he kept it going and now has a full beard. I had said I met some firefighters in New York a while ago. I was talking about YFFR, and I said, my husband was a firefighter. He's off the job now, but guess what do you think the first thing he did was when he left the job? And they said, grow a beard. Everyone knows.
it's right. It's a rite of passage. It really, really is.
Yeah.
And so it took a few years. Like, this ended up
Not as long
being
as you
more like
think,
it
though.
started kind of in COVID. Well, I didn't grow it until like probably 2 years after I got left the truck, I suppose.
Yeah. But that's
But
because
it's
you encouraged you to.
you did. You said I could grow a sweet beard. I said, I don't know. I've never tried. I tried that mustache thing, and it kind of flamed out. So we'll give it a shot. And here we are 4 years later. It's still on my face. So it must be going okay.
Yeah, no, it's going great. We got to get a new headshot because everyone who's probably like new to listing is like looking up your picture on our website and they're like, "Where's the beard?" So we got to get new
Because
professionals.
yeah, I mean, maybe AI can do that for me. There's some of those apps out there. Just
I
take a
have one.
picture and they like turn it into
It
like
didn't look cute.
magic.
It didn't look good.
No,
Yeah, I don't know if I
AI
just
failed.
well, I might not have, set it up to win really with my face. I should have. I probably should have, put makeup on or something. But yeah.
So
So
we recorded an episode with a whole full house. Like,
we
this is
did
the
a full
most guests.
instead of no, we had two guests on before. We had Sarah and Maggie on before.
That's true. That's fair.
But I feel like since it is a full house episode, instead of our normal intro, we should have the Full House intro TV show song.
Step by step, day by day, something like that. All right.
Yeah.
Okay.
No, everywhere you look. No, what's that? Everywhere you see.
No,
Anyway,
that's not right.
someone's yelling right now at their radio. They're
Yeah,
like,
they're shaking their fists like, it's this song, you idiots.
so we have Jess and Lisa. So Jess is our operations director. Lisa is our soon-to-be instructor success manager. She'll be transitioning from her volunteer role because she has proven herself in such an amazing way over the last several years of working with us. But what you just made a face and arms
Because
like
you were actually correct. You're
oh.
actually right. The Full House lyrics are, everywhere you look, everywhere you go, there's
Oh
a
my
heart. So you were
God!
correct. So everybody is now praising us. Like, thank God.
Yeah, they're like, you're right. I love how that's the research Eric was doing in the background. I'm talking about our personnel and how great they are, and he's doing research on 80s TV shows. So yes, so we have a full team, all hands on deck, because we're gonna do a live debrief after action on Instructor School Bridge Course, our first online instructor school, how it went, what we're changing, what we learned. And if you are on the brink of signing up for the next one, which will be this fall, this is important to listen to so you know what to expect, really. And yeah, you listen, you don't know what you don't know. And that's why we've gotten to where we are with YFFR after 10 fucking years, because it takes that long to even know what the roadblocks are going to be.
Yeah, and I mean, you just said we're going to do a live after action debrief. Like this is stuff that usually happens like after calls and fire service, law enforcement, EMS world in behind closed doors, like not in front of the public. And so we're opening the doors and allowing you to sit in to us doing this debrief, to admit our flaws, to admit what we didn't know, to admit what we messed up on, and how we corrected it real time and made it better for those that were going through the course, and we'll make it much better for you. So personally, I'm excited for y'all to get to see kind of the quote unquote man behind the curtains, to use the reference from the old movie.
Wizard
What
of
movie is
Oz.
that from? Wizard of Oz. That's right.
All right, guys, enjoy this Full House on this very special episode of Full House. Welcome to Yoga for First Responders on Air, where we break down yoga, neuroscience, resilience, and public safety in a manner that's authentic, educational, and most importantly, entertaining and lighthearted. I'm YFFR's founder, Olivia Mead. As a yoga instructor and neuroscience enthusiast, I'm passionate about supporting first responders and anyone looking to improve their overall human performance. Each week, we'll dive into a new topic and often bring on expert guests to share their insights and experiences. But we'll also keep it real and share our own stories and struggles along the way. So whether you're a first responder or seeking to master the science of mental and physical resilience, this podcast is your ultimate guide to triumph over life's challenges with unbreakable strength and unwavering fortitude. By pressing play, your training has begun.
Your face was so like.
This is what happens when four of us go up to do a podcast. Is like I did an audio test and they made fun of me. So this is what it's like showing up to work.
Eric, do you want to stay up there even though the sound's difficult, or do you want to come down here?
I don't foresee. We're recording, by the way, because this is how our podcast starts. I don't foresee myself talking a whole lot of the episode. I don't have much to add.
You know what? That's perfect. Okay. So it is on air with Olivia Mead and Eric Brenneman in parentheses.
Eric has a footnote.
So this is a really cool episode because we have our core four. The core four are here. We have Jess, who's our operations director.
You cannot steal some of your friends' words for their friends for our work. Back up. Context here. We have good friends. Chaplain is one of them is the chaplain of AFR. He and his wife have some dear friends. They called each other core four. Well, Olivia and I moved to Albuquerque, and we were blowing it all up, and we have a new friend group that's no longer called the Core Four because we blew it up. So I guess we could just get the Core Fours and that one up.
Said the man who said he wasn't going to talk very much. So
I know. I was like, I thought you weren't talking. So he just muted himself for those who cannot see us. So I got Core Four from a friend group that we came into and became a group of 8. So now we're the
completely blow it up because there's not 4 of you. So
yeah. So listen, 4 of us, core 4 of YFFR. Jess Gannon's the operations director, and then Lisa Hammond is walking into Instructor Success Manager role, ISM. Mm-hmm. And honestly, I have to say, for all of our listeners who think that yoga for first responders and Olivia Mead are interchangeable, no, it's these people that are making the train go down the tracks, and I'm just at the front, I'm in the caboose, waving to everyone as the train goes by. But it's really these folks that are making it go down the track successfully. And the reason we invited them to join us on the podcast today is because we are going to do a review, deep dive, after action debrief of the Instructor School Bridge Course. Now, typically this is something we would do privately, where we say, okay, how did it go? What do we need to change? But we thought we would make it public because we have class 002 of Instructor School Bridge Course coming up. And we want to make sure you all know that we have made improvements and we have learned and we're making it even better. So before I start,
what is Instructor School Bridge Course?
You want me to answer that?
I don't care who answers it.
What
I'm
is-
asking a question. We have fresh voices and people on here. Anybody can answer. I'm throwing a question out to the audience. What is Instructor School Bridge Course? Because I bet people have no idea what the hell that is.
That's true. Yeah.
Well, I'll do a little recap. Before I was going to go into that, I was going to do a little talk about everyone's lives first, but we'll start with. So if you go back a few episodes in on air, you'll hear us start to talk about our upcoming online training certification course. So for the last almost 10 years, 9 years, we have done certification courses to certify folks. Doesn't even matter if you're a 200-hour yoga teacher or not, in our protocol, our specific protocol for yoga for first responders, which is traditional yoga that is tailored to be job specific and culturally informed for public safety, military, and healthcare professionals, primarily first responders, as the name implies. But there's been a lot of demand for our instructor school, and there's a lot of logistics for people to get time off and to pay and travel to wherever the location that we're having our instructor school. So after some time and some convincing and, just kind of hitting the green light and the go button, we decided to put our entire instructor school online, but only for those who do hold a 200-hour certification. And the reason for that is the most important part of being in person is for those who have not taught yoga before, even stepped on a yoga mat, to really understand how to teach it. And so we have a lot of practice teaching at in-person instructor school. But if you have a 200-hour training, we hope that you've already been taught how to teach the yoga, right? We hope, which we'll get into. But so therefore we're going to take all of that out, and the rest of it is stuff that can be, we believe and still do, can be translated online. So it is, why is Eric laughing at me right now?
We got a lot of hopes and prayers and beliefs going on, and so I can't wait to dive into this.
Well, let me say, you took my whole thing away, Eric. Now we're getting into it. I was going to talk about how. So Lisa's in California. Okay, I'm going to put a pin in ISBC for a second. Lisa, you're in California. You came to instructor school in 2021, I believe, January 2021. Yes. Give us a quick synopsis of when you decided to sign up for instructor school to now, like, working with us in a major way. You're a part of the core 4. What's that journey been?
Okay. Well, I remember at instructor school, it was brought up that maybe there's some volunteer opportunities, and that's my jam. So I was like, oh, okay. So dove in pretty quickly. I think, God, what did I start doing? I started helping with conferences to begin with. That made my head hurt a lot.
Our heads hurt, yeah. We were trying to get her to track conferences.
Oh my God.
It's insane. So yeah, we
asked a lot. Yeah.
Job.
And then things shifted, and I just, whatever was needed, I just kind of rolled along with, I'd be asked, oh, can you do this? I'm like, yeah, sure. Even if I didn't know what it was, I was like, yeah, okay, I'll do it. And then eventually I figured it out. And here I am, because what are we, 2024 now? I mean, it's been a bit of time. I stick with volunteer stuff for a while. It's also my jam. I tend to be a loyal volunteer.
You are super loyal.
So you better not.
Yeah. And I like volunteering.
Well, what made you decide to sign up for instructor school originally?
So interesting. So Sarah Mills was the one who was my contact at that point. We were talking on Messenger, and our instructor school was actually supposed to be in August of 2020, I think.
Yeah, August or September, I think. We had to
cancel.
Yeah,
so fall of 2020 had to be canceled. So we did instructor school mass.
COVID, by the way.
Huh?
It was a COVID cancellation in case
It was,
anyone.
yes, it was a COVID cancellation. Yes, it was. So we did our instructor school. It was 6 days at that point, and yeah, masked up because of COVID. But Sarah was really proactive in checking in with me, like, hey, because I was like, oh, I think I might be interested in going to instructor school. I'd been teaching at that point for teaching yoga for, I don't know, 8 years or something like that, about 8 years. And it's just a really, it looked interesting. So it was social media. Found you guys on social media. And once I mean, she and I talked, it got postponed. I was all in, loved instructor school. In-person instructor school is amazing. Even COVID instructor school. Because it wasn't quite the same. You know, we had a little bit of tweaking to do. And then since then I've been chasing down our local fire academy or firefighters, law enforcement to see if I could get in. And now I finally, 3.5 years later, taught 2 classes.
Well, and so like she buried the lead on that one. So when you talk about how you're a loyal volunteer and loyal in general, we have people come through instructor school and like, oh, I can't get into my fire department and police department, and then they just quit and give up because they tried to call one time and it didn't work. Well, but I'm being serious. Jess could talk more about this in depth than I could. But you've been on our team, and so you've gotten to see this journey. And quite frankly, I'm super proud of you because it took 3.5 years of persistence, quite frankly, before you got the door open at the fire department. And now you have a full academy class where you actually get to do like proposing like weeks worth of work into the probationary folks in academy. Like that's a huge win for you. I mean, honestly, personally, like that's a big deal.
It felt big. It felt big.
But not only that, her evaluations that have come in have been like stellar, like top notch, and this is what I always say as well, and I say this in the ISBC. So ISBC stands for Instructor School Bridge Course. It's our online instructor school. And I remember saying this in one of the recorded lectures is 80% of what we do is not fun. It's pursuing the leads, convincing people, then finally you get to go to the yoga mat and do the work. So this isn't your typical yoga teaching where you just are on a schedule and you go in and teach and leave. It really is a mission. And Lisa, I think you're a testament to that. And so, you impressed me from the start, and you offered yourself up to work for us, and we were really trying to figure out what was happening internally. Like, did we need to have conferences tracked or this or that? And we plugged you in several places, and so you were so adaptable. You're a numbers person too, so we had you help with accounting. But I think where we've really see you really have found your seat on the bus is, in this instructor success management role. And Jess, I'll have you sort of talk a little bit more about that and how Lisa fits in. So Jess, you came to instructor school in
2018, I think. Yeah.
Yes. Yeah. You came to the 007 school.
Yes, 007. And I was squad 1. There's no more squad 1s.
No squad uno anymore. Yeah, it's been retired.
Archives are retired.
Yeah. So, we should have given you squad 1 as your squad number.
Oh man, that would have been cool.
You could still switch it. Don't worry, but you could just tell all your squad members, we're now squad 1, everyone. So get on board. Yeah. So what made you? And you live in the St. Louis area, right? No, what am I talking about?
Yeah.
Yes, I am correct. Okay.
Yeah, I'm outside the same.
Okay, so all of a sudden I was like,
how many drinks have you had?
Kansas. I know, I'm on my first. I know, it's...
Yeah, no, I know.
So,
what are you guys drinking? We didn't do
that. Is that shark with ice in it? What are you drinking?
No, it's Jameson and ginger ale.
Ooh, girl! After my own heart, true cocktail.
I don't normally do cocktails very often, but I love a Jameson and ginger ale, and so I thought, you guys are doing cocktails, I'll do one too.
Well, it was basically an order. We were like, oh, you're going to be on the podcast, so just so you know. Yeah, we're drinking margaritas with an extra splash of Reposado tequila just to take the
Yeah.
sweetness out of the marg.
Yeah.
It was way too sweet, so yeah, I had to cut it with some tequila.
Or
Like
tequila, yeah.
professional, I guess. I don't know.
I cut mine with lime.
Oh, there
Like
you
with
go.
lime.
Yeah,
Lime juice always helps. Yeah.
I like doing that
Yeah.
too.
Yeah.
So okay, so
Lisa had a glass. What is Lisa drinking?
I've got a hot cocoa that I added a splash of coffee liqueur, screwball peanut butter whiskey, and chocolate
Ooh.
pecan liqueur.
oh,
Damn, you made yourself a peanut butter cup. Like
That-
literally.
That
Dessert.
sounds so good.
It's
I know
good.
we all have to go to Lisa's house, and I know she has like this beautiful home, and she's cozy with her
I
cocktail.
was actually, I was hoping for some kind of like orange twist in there.
I
since you
thought
wanted-
about it. I do hot cocoa with orange olive oil in it in the mornings.
Ooh.
Oh, that sounds
I'm gonna put that recipe in the show notes for anybody who's listening. Let's be honest, nobody's
Yeah.
got this. They're hitting
Good.
pause and figuring out how to put orange olive oil in their
Listen,
cocoa.
whatever makes
It's
them
good.
save and download this episode, great. I don't care if it's a cocktail recipe. So Jess, what made you decide to sign up for Instructor School?
Yeah, so I at the time was working as an exercise physiologist. I'm scratchy, sorry. And at the hospital, I've always worked with first responders, so that's one way like that I've always had like a slight leg up compared to maybe other instructors that don't. But as an exercise physiologist, I was doing like their annual wellness exam. So I worked in a doctor's office where mostly fire departments would come in, and they would come in annually and they would get a doctor's visit. We would do their stress tests and hearing, lungs, vision. They would see a mental health therapist, fitness testing, all sorts of things. So that's what I've done since pretty much day one of graduating school. And so I had a lot of relationships with first responders. So I had a great passion for, serving them, helping them. And I could see, we would be talking a lot, and I could already see a lot of the stuff that they were dealing with, and trying to figure out ways to help them. And then, but I also love yoga, and have done yoga since about college as well. And so I was just like, when I think there's another local instructor, a local yoga teacher here in St. Louis who had taken the training in Kansas City. And I was like, wait a second, it's like yoga and it's first responders. Like, oh my God, like that would be like such a cool meld of like my passions. And so I just kind of like, without asking my boss, I was just like, I'm gonna like, I just registered for the training, hoping that she would approve my time off and, stuff like that. And so then I went. And yeah, even having the relationships though with the first responders, when I came back from instructor school, it took a good year to get people going, and then COVID happened. And but yeah, we have a really big program here in St. Louis. There's, I think, 5 instructors, including myself now, in my area, and we all kind of share the agencies that we teach, and we help each other out. So I drive 45 minutes one way to teach a department called High Ridge. They're kind of more in this rural area. And then I also teach one of the more local ones closer to my house. We have several departments that we're teaching now. So it's really fun. But yeah, I guess in 2020, when I was pregnant and I was starting to get all of the departments to finally sign on, is when like I was like, I wanted like more control over like I had an experience in account management, and I knew like that's kind of what the program management of YFFR was. And I was like, well, like, could I do that? And so I kind of just like inserted myself into it, and it really worked out. So I started with program management and just helping manage programs and helping getting programs going around the country, and then kind of moved on from there. So we got rid of program management and started doing instructor success, because we've just changed the model of how YFFR is operating. So instead of us trying to help the instructors get into the agencies, instructors have more, I guess they have license, but also more, what am I trying to say? Like freedom
Autonomy to
Yes, autonomy, thank you, to kind of work for themselves. And so we are just directly supporting those instructors. And so that's kind of where I was at. And then just last fall, I stepped into that operations director role, helping to get ISBC launched and all that sort of stuff. So, yeah.
Jess, where do you, first of all, both of you and, are great at what you do. And Jess, like I just, we didn't really work directly together for a long time when you were in program management. And then, I don't know, I just see you as such a great,
Yeah.
you know, um, I mean, operations director fits you so well because you can really see all the moving parts to everything, and you can see areas that I don't see. And I think that's why we're, a really good balance together, because I'm looking at one aspect, you look at something else, but we see each other's, like, so I don't know, really great to have both of you on the team, and definitely why we're successful. So Jess, let's talk about Lisa for a second. So with Lisa being, because remember I had said to you, like, and Lisa, we'll get into this when we get into ISBC more, and that journey. But I said something to Jess, like, I forgot what role I had called it or something for you, but it had to do with kind of what you're doing with ISBC. And then Jess said, I think this is basically an instructor success manager. Like, that's what she is. And I was like, you're right.
It wasn't there.
Yeah. I always try to
I
make
can't
things
remember what it was either, but then you just like stepped in so well to like help me. Like you're like my little assistant, and I always feel bad for like doing that. And then I'm like trying to get over myself for that, because you're just so good at like getting it done, like whatever I ask of you. And you're just like, yeah. So if you are like emailing YFFR, it's probably you're either talking to me, but most likely you're talking to Lisa. She answers all of our messages and keeps up with the inboxes. And so that's when she started developing like that rapport with instructors. And like, I think you found that you really enjoyed it, talking to them and then seeing what they were doing and stuff like that. And then it just naturally was like, hey, like, would you help with, I think you already started the squad leader course that you could do, and found interest in that. And so we were like, wait a second, can you help with, ISBC? It's a lot more than we maybe thought it would be on like the support side. And yeah, it's just like, you just kind of stepped into it and quickly like took it on, and with no real, like, I don't know, it's just easy for you, seems. Yeah.
Do you feel, Lisa, that like having, and this is skipping ahead a little bit, but I'll still ask it and we'll get there too, is what Lisa's doing along with some other folks from our team, is grading and watching the practice teach videos. And we'll break down momentarily like what that looks like. But Lisa, do you feel by doing so much of the grading and watching people's videos that it's made you feel more confident as a YFFR instructor?
Absolutely. Yeah. 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 This is my first foray into sort of being the trainer thing. I've taught yoga for a while, but I've never stepped into being the evaluator.
Yeah.
So it's really cool to see different styles. It's very interesting just as a teacher to be able to see what everybody brings to the table.
Yeah.
Very wide variety, huge wide variety.
Yeah. I think that when, like, I
one
always,
of the benefits of being an instructor and doing like even an in-person instructor school is like, in order to teach, you obviously have to study the craft even more if you're a good teacher. Number one, because you want to be confident in your corrections and your feedback that you're giving to folks. And we're trying to, we say this all the time, that YFR, we're not trying to create robots, but we're trying to at least bring you into a certain mold, bringing you into a certain kind of mold of how we teach, so that everybody that you teach to gets the same experience coast to coast, border to border. And so you're right, like there's literally 7 million voices, or 300 million voices in America, and they all bring something different. And so then we're taking those people coming to instructor school and trying to help guide them into teaching a similar protocol. And so it's like a little bit like herding cats, I would imagine. Like I can see your brain spinning in the background. Like, how much do I correct? How much do I try to bring
Yeah.
them in? Is this close enough? Like that kind of stuff. So
Yeah, and then the first few videos too, I was like, am I being too harsh? And then I realized, no, this is a protocol, and this is very similar to a kids yoga that I took, a training that I took. They wanted to see that Kidding Around Yoga was a program that no matter what teacher you got, you were going to be getting the same protocol. So it's very similar, and I really find it comforting. It makes it easier as a teacher, because
Especially when it's
this is how you do it.
right, and when it's a proven structure that works, like, and
Yeah.
when I went, I was about to say, so when I went to India to study, and I landed in Delhi, the first thing I did was find a Starbucks, honestly, because I was scared and homesick. But when I could find something I recognized and I knew what I was going to get was going to be the same as where I came from, it was comforting, right? So that's this whole thing with a brand or with something that's trusted. It's trust. And the reason I'm laughing is I just saw this reel of this yoga teacher being like, oh, you did your teacher training in Michigan? Yeah, I did mine in India. India? Yeah, it's where yoga's from. Yeah, well, I mean, I'm originally from Miami, but I did do my training in India. Like, it was just, I feel like I was just like that just now. So a trusted brand, a trusted approach. Speaking of trust, what I did want to say about both of you that I think is important about team members operationally is having trust in them. Like, I have complete trust in everyone on our team, and we should all be making our stress level lower, not higher. And as Mark Cuban says, that's how you know you have a good team. So I just want to put a little bow on that with that. So yes, trusted brand instructor and structure. Lisa, speaking of kids yoga, what I was going to bring up in the beginning, Jess has a couple of kids. Jess, have you started them on Cosmic Kids Yoga?
No.
Okay, it's on YouTube. Have you heard of it?
No, I haven't.
Oh,
it's good.
It's good.
it's good. Yeah.
It's on YouTube, you said? Yeah.
So look up Cosmic Kids Yoga.
Okay.
So I was thinking we did it today with Ray Ray. It was so cute. So our daughter's 18 months old. You have a 2-year-old girl. And how old's Owen?
Owen's almost 4. Yeah.
Almost 4. Lisa has a 20-something kid. Has he done Cosmic Kids Yoga?
So he's actually did yoga before I did. I had a videotape that I used to pop in for him. And I can't remember what it was, but he loved it. So, and then I'm also known as the yoga grandma. When I go visit my grandkids, I'm the yoga grandma.
I love that.
So it's very cool.
You could do a YouTube series called The Yoga Grandma. Like, you really
totally.
Oh my gosh, that's our next venture of Yoga Shield.
Well, I've also decided I want to do one yoga in pajamas because that's how I do my yoga at home.
Oh,
I do yoga in pajamas. Yeah.
There is an episode where Cosmic Kids Yoga, Miss Jamie, does her practice in pajamas. Nice. So check it out. We did it as a family today. Super cute. But this is what I will say. She does this amazing job of weaving storytelling with all the positions. And even breath work. Like, she's like, oh, there are a bunch of bees, we're in a beehive. And she did, Brahmari pranayama, which is humming breath, right? So she does it all. She does, like, she says all the correct alignment, but she weaves in this cute little story that keeps them engaged. Now, I have tried to teach kids like 15 years ago at the studio. They were like, can you go teach the kids class because the teacher, whatever. I don't know how to teach kids. I mean, it scares the shit out of me. Like, I'd much rather teach cops than kids. So I've been teaching yoga for 20 years. I have, I'm a subject matter expert when it comes to yoga for public safety. But if I were to take Cosmic Yoga Kids, Miss Jamie's teacher training, I would sit there with wide eyes and a total beginner, because I have no idea what works, how it works, because clearly she's not just, flying by the seat of her pants here. She's clearly made a structure. And if you were to learn her structure, I mean, it's probably a very specific approach. And I'd want to do it the way she's telling me to do it because it clearly works. So it doesn't matter if it's kids, it doesn't matter if it's first responders or any other specific segment of the population. There is a culturally appropriate approach. And that's our expertise at YFFR, and that's what we're teaching. And that's what people sign up for. So let's get into ISBC. So they sign up for this online instructor school. It is about, we calculated it, not counting your certification hours, getting the certification requirements done. I believe it's 65 hours of work. It started off. So let's talk about how we launched it. So we launched it as an 8-week program. Okay.
Yeah.
A new module every week with approximately 7 to 8 hours of work every week. I mean, you have to think about this course as going to school for something. There are so many online courses out there that are sort of like click next. And that is not ours. And we have some courses like that on YFFR University where we're totally hands off and it's just self-led. But this course, we're licensing people to, and they're going to hold a license for our reputation. And so we are hands-on to make sure that, because signing up for ISBC does not guarantee certification nor a license. You really have to show that, that you can do this. Okay.
That's one thing I found interesting when we were creating the course too, is because like our in-person instructor school is 50 hours. It's an intensive 50 hours for 5 days. And by the end you have almost everything. Then you did 8 hours before you got there, you did 50 hours in person, and then you still have more stuff afterwards. So that's about 80 hours total. And so it's funny because a lot of people at in-person instructor school assume that like they're not going to be there the whole time and stuff like that. And we're like struggling to get all of the 50 hours in.
Right.
They're like, you're there from the start to finish, no matter, and so like for our online course, knowing that these people already should know how to teach yoga, like I assumed it would be a lot less. So it was interesting to see all the content come together because I think it just shows like how much we really put into it, because we want to make sure that the people teaching our protocol are representing us the right way and have that cultural competency and everything that they need to be able to teach the population.
Right.
So, yeah.
So I didn't take out all practice teaching because you still have to practice our protocol.
Right.
But I did take out, what I left in was the practice teaching that you get coaching and feedback on. Mm-hmm. So at in-person instructor school, you do a lot of practice teaching. And then you have 2 opportunities where you receive, feedback and coaching from your squad leader. And I left those 2 opportunities in. But what I added, which isn't at in-person instructor school, and I built this almost in real time as it was being released, because I also needed to see what needs to be added and changed. And I did add a lot of chunks of things that I realized was missing by not being eye to eye with people. Mm-hmm. And I think that was it's almost little stuff. It's little questions, little tweaks, little worries, little concerns that I'm like, wow, I didn't realize I have to do a whole segment here about our use of cognitive declarations, which is kind of a more badass version of affirmations from cognitive behavioral therapy and techniques. But I had to do a whole separate section on, sort of getting the gumption to be able to teach those things. When you're in person and you see in real time the effect of an entire group doing a call and response command, you get it. And that's why we don't need a separate class to explain it to them. I will say that there is something different about being amongst its group flow, right? You're missing the group flow when doing this on your own. And that's just, there's nothing we can do about that. So we tried, to just do a lot more explanation of what that was like. I did some filming at in-person instructor school so they could try to get a feel for that. But let's talk about the first adjustment. So we tried to get this all in 8 weeks. Then what happened, everybody?
Well, yeah, let's talk about the first hiccup. The real first hiccup was technology.
The platform.
Yeah. Let's go all the way back.
All the way back.
Yeah. So we have YFFR University where we have courses before, but never a course of this magnitude. And so we decided we would try and host this course on our website platform that could also have courses. And we very quickly found that it just did not have the same, I don't know, Eric, you're probably better at talking about this stuff, but it just didn't have the same, bandwidth as YFFR University to be able to host the course. And we had a lot of issues. I don't even, it feels so long ago.
I don't even remember.
I can't even remember the specific issues, but it was a lot. Well, I know that we were like, okay, pause, let's switch everything over. Yeah.
Well, and here's the thing. Yeah. I think we didn't realize how hands-on we were going to have to be and want to be, right? Yeah. So, I think that we did think it was going to be more of here's the information and people are going to pass with flying colors. And we're like, wow, we do need to be more involved. And our website backend doesn't have all of the functionality to be as involved as our university platform. So, and also the theme of technology, this is another thing. If you're thinking of signing up for 002, we will provide support with this, but use of technology is a thing. So
you should be comfortable. Yeah.
To be comfortable or be willing to get comfortable with it. But so after week 2, I believe it was after week 2, we decided to completely switch platforms and take 50 people with us. And I'm shocked it actually went as smoothly as it did. And everyone was so patient with it too.
Yeah.
But I think that's one thing to talk about as far as the cohort that's going through is some of them knew they were beta users, some of them knew that they're class 001. And anytime you're the first of anything, there's going to be bumps in the road. But I think what they also took away from that is that we are actually listening to the feedback. And so they were saying that this is a problem, it's not working well. We said, okay, bear with us. We're going to make the change, and made a heavy lift, quite frankly, to make it a better experience in the end for them. So good for the students for raising the concerns and being patient with us. And honestly, proud of our team for listening to the feedback, because it would be very easy to just dig the heels and be like, no, this is the platform we're using. Tough. But instead, we said, no, we understand this is not working well. Let's make the change midstream. And make that course correction. And we've been told several times by one of our squad leaders, his name's Mark, that one of the things that he notices about YFFR is our willingness to continue to make adjustments to feedback, to continue to pivot, because so many organizations do just dig their heels in and say, this is our way, this is the highway. Tough. But
we could have
we want to continue to get better.
Yeah, we could have totally been like, the course has already started. We got to finish it here, and then we'll make a change. But it was a lot of work. Yeah.
And also, not care, put it out there. You have the information, but this is this two-way street where they're about to, we hope, be licensed instructors and part of our instructor network. So we want them to have everything you need to be successful, and they're also investing time and money. And so they want it to be successful. So we're all on the same team to, work out any kinks that are any barriers to their success. And so I'm proud of us on the back end for those few weeks, all hands on deck. We were just, working so hard. And Very, very proud of us for what we did. So yeah, so the first 2 weeks of the ISBC is called Foundations. And if you come to in-person training, it's around 8 hours total. And it will be the prerequisite work you do online before you come to in-person instructor school. So that's the first 2 weeks. Then you get into the next 3 weeks, which is basic training. And was it the third week, or maybe it was week 6 actually, which is advanced ops. But we realized that this is so much information, that the least amount of hours in a week is 5 and the most is 12. But even squeezing in 5 hours with everyone else, with everything else you've got going on in your life, is a lot. And so we have decided our first change is that instead of 8 weeks, and also, guys, this is what do we call it? Self-paced. Meaning we don't require you to finish it in 8 weeks. It'll be released, like in a certain amount of time, but you do have 6 months to complete it. And then, and we'll talk about what happens after 6 months shortly. But even though it was technically 8 weeks, you still have, a lot longer to complete it. So we've actually decided to make it 12 weeks. Now, the weeks that we're adding we're calling integration weeks. It's so much information that you need time to digest it and to metabolize it and to be like, oh yeah, or go back and listen to that lecture again. That was another thing I was finding. We have a trainee hub where we can all communicate, with the trainees. And there were a lot of questions coming in that I knew for a fact I had stated in one of the lecture videos. So, I told them the answer, but then also told them where to go back and listen. It's so much information that you are going to miss a lot. That's normal. And so these weeks allow you to maybe go back and re-listen to things or quote unquote catch up if you've missed a few days. So that's our first big change, is making it from 8 weeks to 12 weeks, but you're going to have 6 months to finish it. So that's another thing that came up, is creating a timeline. You guys want to talk more about the timeline we've created and why?
Yeah, I think because we decided initially, like most courses, you want to be able to give access to the course for the lifetime of that the course is available. We were just going off of best practices in the course creation world. And then we just realized that, there's some people, even with people who come to instructor school, there's some people who go through all of the instructor school process who never become certified to teach. They just want to go through and have the information, which is great. It's a lot of, they find out they need to have that information for themselves, but they're not ready to teach, or they might never want to teach. And so kind of similar here is that like some people might not, either they delayed starting, it was taking them a really long time to start, or they just decided to quit because it just wasn't the right fit for them. But we are, I think, and Lisa, you can talk a little bit more about this, but this course is unlike no other, I think you've said, as the queen of courses. You've taken a ton of courses, but we are supporting you. Like you have Lisa or me or another squad leader directly supporting you through the whole process. And so we are holding your hand, making sure you understand. And so like to go, let's say if someone started the course and they're waiting 8 months, we're still checking, making sure, are you doing the course? Are you not going to do the course? Yeah. So we just decided we need to have some sort of timeline to encourage, I guess, people to do the course. So Lisa, do you have anything?
I mean, and that's something I want everyone to understand too, is this isn't just, when we say self-paced, it doesn't mean you're on your own island doing it. You have a one-on-one coach. And so Lisa, what does that look like?
So that looks like, we watch the progress as everybody goes through and things get submitted. And initially there's a lot of stuff moving. And then as we get further into the course, you get into the practice teaching and it slows down a little bit. But the initial, I don't know, 5 weeks, I guess, there's a lot of back and forth and people have questions. So this is the only course I've ever taken that allows you to make direct contact with a person and ask them questions. Um, Other courses I've taken, you could throw a question out there, you might get an answer eventually, and it's usually from the person who's put the course out there, and they're pretty good, but not like this. This is very hands-on. This is direct feedback. Never have I taken a course where I've got a coach who will answer all my questions for me. And I've taken a lot of courses I've let go and I have not finished because nobody's talking to me.
I was going to
Yeah.
say, do you think, Lisa, like if you were given, so there was one course. So by the way, we've also realized in our organization that we don't need to reinvent the wheel. We can actually look at best practices of other people. And Lisa, you mentioned to us that one of the
I took a
courses,
course to figure out how to course.
what you say? Oh yeah, exactly. Like just
Yeah.
about doing this, like we're trying to learn from the best. And Lisa, you mentioned that one of the courses you signed up for, that after a certain amount of time, if you want to keep access to the course, there's a monthly fee. And does stuff like that, or if there's some sort of structure around that, did that keep you motivated to keep using the course?
It reminds me once a month when I see the auto bill come through. Oh yeah, I need to kind of finish that up, or I haven't looked at that information for a while. I'm struggling with some of the stuff I'm teaching. Oh, that's a great resource for me. And I have to say, the manual for all the manuals, because it's in a week by week basis, this is the most comprehensive manual system that you will ever find. Because one of the other problem is specifically one course I'm getting charged, a small nominal fee every month. The manual's okay, but it's not super in depth, and there's a lot of really, really long videos. So I'm having a hard time getting back to them because they're long, and I didn't allot the time that I needed. So I like the bite-sized chunks of ISBC. I can look at things very quickly. There's so much like videos and blogs, and there's a ton of stuff. So it makes it easier, even, I would say, even once, say I decide I'm okay, I don't want to pay the fee anymore, in that fee structure, I would have enough to be able to go back to with the manuals.
Right. Okay. Yeah.
And all the other stuff, the videos and stuff that you have, everything, the YFFR on demand, all that stuff is there. So there's a lot of support material that these other courses don't have.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's really good feedback too. Like when we talk about, because we're not a cheap course either, right? Like some people are going to look at the price tag and be like, oh my goodness, like they're charging this for that course. But keep in mind what we just heard. Like this is the most intensive course that people have taken. It's the most supported course. It's the most productive manual. It's the richest amount of content in any online course that I've ever seen too. And when we started to build that out, we're like, holy shit, this is ridiculous. Like how much is there? But that's what we pride ourselves on as YFFR, is holding ourselves to that standard. And so this is not a course for the timid, quite frankly, number one. It's a challenge. And quite honestly, the cost that we're going to be charging in this next round for 002 is going up from 001. Surprise. But it's because we realized like how damn good this course actually is. Like this is a killer course.
Well, once
it was on.
Say that again, Jess.
And how hands-on we've
been
with the course. It's like ideally you do this online course, you're able to like step back a little bit and have some passive income, but it's also our name out there, and so we want to protect it, and so we're very hands-on. And so yeah, we're in-person instructor school is $1,500. ISBC started out at $997. It's going up to $1,200 for this second round now because of all the support that it requires.
Well, and that's to me, Eric, you mentioned the price tag or whatever. I actually think once I looked at everything that we've provided, including this constant support, I'm like, that is cheap. That is cheap. Like it should be at least double that, And so since we're still working out kinks, like I am fine, I having that price on it right now as we keep working it out. But honestly, like I'm like, wow, this is tremendous. And and just logistically on the back end, I did not know we were going to need the amount of support that we were going to need. I really thought like, oh yeah, basically hands off, we'll just grade people's, videos and that'll be quick and whatever. And this is not a bad thing or saying anything about the cohort we had. We just didn't know what we didn't know.
Right.
And I'm like, holy cow, I want, and so I basically got our squad leaders to volunteer to correct, to grade the quizzes, to give feedback to the videos. And, Lisa basically, sort of took over the lead on that. The other cyber squad leaders are definitely involved, but Lisa took the bulk of it, thank God. And I was like, wow, this is different than what I thought it was going to be. This is maybe even more hands-on than in-person instructor school.
Yeah.
Because in person, we're there for 5 days. We're all in it. And then, the squad leaders are grading and stuff after that.
Because like you said too, like at in person, you're within a squad, you're in a group. And so, there's the feedback for someone else you pick up on, answers your questions. Right. And a lot of it too was technology support, which probably won't go away. It's just, there's always going to be questions or issues with getting into something. And
so for anyone who's scared of like technology right now, be like, oh, would I be able to handle it? A lot of the technology stuff we have rectified, and we also are, providing support tools for it. But what I do want you to know off the bat is that you are going to have to upload a video of yourself teaching. And we will give a little like tutorial video of how to do that. But if you're interested in ISBC, start Googling now how to upload my video and share the link from YouTube. It is very simple once you know, but some of the things, guys, and I know you all agree with me on this, I'm not compromising on. And that is us watching a video of you teach. Again, for this specifically, this is our reputation. This is, you're going to be licensed. We have to make sure you're holding your ground with this protocol. So, anyway, we will support you with technology, but just acknowledge that it's going to have to be there. Okay. So let's talk about some of the surprises in terms of some grading stuff. Now, I want to say that by and large, this cohort has been fantastic questions and feedback and great videos. So impressed with a lot of people. And at first, when I started to do a little bit of the grading and then realized I needed support, some answers to questions came in that clearly showed someone had not watched the lecture video at all. And I guess I was surprised by that and then realized I shouldn't have been surprised by that. And here's why. I too, friends, am guilty of buying an online course and boopity boop, beep, 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 just zippeting through it. Okay. So I am not better than anybody else or whatever. So I get that. And I get that that's some of the joys of having an online course or, buying an online course is that, I can drink my Jameson and ginger and just zippity zap through this course. No problem, So I understand that. And so I shouldn't have been surprised, but I was also surprised because I was like, I thought folks knew that this was basically signing up for a college course. This was basically signing up for, if your RYT is your bachelor's degree, YFFR is having a master's in teaching it to public safety, right? And I just assumed everyone would just know that that's what we're expecting. So Lisa, do you want to talk about this a little bit? Because I know that I saw that. And then I did get a message from you a couple times, like, what do I do? And so, I don't even know where to start with this because I don't want to put down any of our trainees because I really do think it's on us to set an expectation. And so what do you think those expectations are? For one, I'll start with this. And Lisa or Jess, one of you may have mentioned this. Because one holds a 200-hour certification doesn't mean they actually have experience teaching. So even though ISBC are for those folks who do hold a 200-hour certification in yoga, if you have little to no experience teaching, come to in-person because we teach you how to teach. So when you create practice teaching videos and Lisa's watching them, and we'll talk about how we decided to do the feedback, which I think is helpful to the change we made there. She's not looking to teach you how to teach yoga. She's going to be looking for, can you adopt the ground rules and the protocol that we're asking you to do on top of your experience already with being able to teach yoga. Do you want to speak more on that at all, Lisa?
Well, I think that was the main point, was assuming that a 200-hour certified teacher has actually done some teaching. And that wasn't a question that was asked. So it might be a question that's asked. So just so we know going in how much experience someone has. But I agree, in-person instructor school would be a really good fit for someone who has a 200-hour but has not actually been able to get into a studio or teach a community class or do anything. The thing that I find really helpful about YFFR is you have scripts, and in this there are scripts.
Mm-hmm.
And I've told people, do it from the script. That's how you get the protocol in.
And
that's got the 4 pieces of our class. It's right there.
Right.
Practice. Do the protocol in your home practice. Have a home practice.
Right.
Just saying.
That's the thing is what I used to do when I was first teaching in academies is I would always do the class for my morning yoga before I'd go teach it. Then it's in my bones. Then I know where the pitfalls are and I can teach authentically. And the scripts are there too. Like if you're feeling anxious about standing up and teaching, which is normal, okay, always, that takes the layer of remembering what to teach out of it. And all you have to do is work on your leadership and your command presence, And also, go ahead.
That speaks to this whole idea too in teaching YFFR, is that you do not demo.
Right.
You teach. So you can hold a script or have your iPad with your stuff on it, and it doesn't look terrible. I've asked people, like, how do you feel about somebody who's holding a lesson plan in their hand while they're teaching yoga? They don't care.
No one cares.
Nobody cares. There's some classes that have gotten used to their teacher demoing. And so then but it's funny to watch some of the folks. It's really hard because we've set the expectation you're not to demo. Their hands can't stop moving. And they kind of a little bit of here and there, and it's really hard. And you can tell those are people who have actually had some teaching experience.
And I would say that was the number one roadblock that I saw come up for people in ISBC. At in-person training, I think we drill it so much from day one that they just are like, okay. And plus we're staring at them, but like ISBC, it seemed to come up a lot. And Jess, am I remembering this correctly that you had mentioned something about you used to demo when you taught? Is that right?
It was. She told me that. You told me that you used to.
Well, that's two people calling her out that she
I
did.
did.
So
Jess, you used to do it wrong, right?
Yes. No.
I'm kidding.
So I think that. Yeah. No. I think that I remember. I think whenever I very first started teaching, I wasn't as comfortable with like my teaching skills, and the guys were brand new, and so I assumed I needed to. And I don't know if in like 007 if it was or not harped. I feel like there's a lot. I think since 007 there's been a humongous shift in like the teaching education, like teaching people how to teach the yoga. I don't know if there was as much when I went to instructor school. That just says how much we've grown. Because the last time I attended, I was like, oh my gosh, this is so cool. Like it's so much more hands-on and practice teaching. And so I think I did demo quite a bit, but then I also got pregnant and I couldn't anymore. I was like, I am out of breath. I can't do this. You guys know what you're doing. Just listen to the words that are coming out of my mouth.
Right.
So.
Well, and I think you hit on a couple things there is, I think when teachers demo completely, I'm talking about 100%, right,
Yeah.
are doing it.
Yeah.
They're hiding in the yoga movements rather than standing. They're too afraid to stand themselves as a teacher.
Yeah.
So that's one thing.
When I stopped demoing is when I really started feeling more comfortable about teaching, because like then when you're not demoing, you can really look at your students' bodies and see what they're doing, and you can see the look on their face if they're uncomfortable or struggling, or
watch them breathe. You can watch them their 3-part breath.
I mean, you don't see a football coach running the plays on the field with their football players. Like just to run this analogy out. Like at the end of the day, like I honestly see it like we as YFFR instructors, we're coaches. Like we're coaching the yoga for that's gonna relate to the folks that are doing our yoga. Like you are the yoga coach. Great. So coach them. Don't start to separate that out.
That's exactly what I put it as well. Like a boxing coach, they're watching you box to give you, and they may kind of like, do this or whatever, but they're watching you, but you don't see them actually doing the drill. Then they wouldn't be able to see you, right? The ice skating coach isn't jumping at the same time as the ice skater. They wouldn't be able to see the ice skater. So it's the same thing.
Yeah.
And so someone once said that it looked like I stalk my class because I'm literally like going around looking at ribs and looking at fingers and everything and coaching and shoulders and this or that. And when I introduce a new drill and I've shown it to them, I will kind of mimic it like, okay, arm up, twist the ribs. So I'm not saying stand like a robot. What I'm saying is it's not about you. It's about them. Right.
But that goes back to the boxing coach. Like the boxing coach is like doing the jabs and the hooks, and like you can see the football coach is like kind of going through the motions as their players are going through it. So like if they need to, especially like the first time through the drill, after that it's hands off. Y'all can figure this out. It's, as Yogi Brian says, it's just fucking yoga. It's not rocket science. Like come on.
Well, they're not looking at you either, though. Think about it. I saw this picture of like a teacher and student both in down dog. They're not seeing you. So why are you doing it? Because their head's not facing you either. So you can't see them and they can't see you, But anyway, point is, and this also leads to something bigger, is when we're dealing with yoga teachers, which we all are. So we're talking about our own people here, okay?
Yeah.
Dare I say there's a little layer of ego there? Maybe that when it kind of goes back to that reel I was just talking about, like, oh, I studied in India. Oh, you studied in Michigan? Okay, great. Not the same, but there's all these jokes about like yoga teachers but when a yoga teacher comes in, and when we're in person instructor school and we have a very, a veteran yoga teacher and we have a first responder who has never touched a yoga mat, typically the first responder does better with teaching the protocol because they're not coming with any sort of, I know this already. This is not how I learned it. They just teach. They keep it simple and grounded. And with the yoga teachers, we often have to unteach them things. They have to unlearn things. We have to get past a little bit of ego, right? And we had one uno person decide to remove themselves from ISBC, and it was after getting feedback on their video. So, and the reason we're bringing all of this up is we learned so much. So if you hear the episode about us launching into ISBC, you listen to that after this, you're like, wow, they had no idea what was about to hit them, right? Because we're like, it's great, guys. It's gonna be 8 weeks. We're launching it. It's gonna be fabulous. That's all we knew. And we're like, oh my God. So, but I'm just bringing all of this up because we learned a lot.
It was episode 11, by the way.
Okay, back to episode 11, preferably after you listen to this, so you can see how green and how excited we are, and then fast forward to us sweating, trying to get this done. But I think that what the biggest thing, at least I can speak for me, that I learned is needing to more adequately prepare everyone for what they were signing up for. Do you think that's fair?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yeah.
100%. It's about being honest with yourself if this is the right course for you, because it is hard. It's not for everybody. That's cool. That's fine. We accept that. We'd make more money if it was for everybody, but that's not the goal and mission of licensing, quite frankly. Because even historically, Jess, you're in your roles, only about 40% or so of people that actually go through an in-person instructor course certify.
That's our 60, goal.
That's our goal, and I bet we're lower than that. Actually, if we go back to our numbers, it's probably a third of the people that actually come to in-person instructor school that actually end up carrying a certification. And so, I'm not saying that we're the Navy SEALs of yoga training, but
I'm
listen, we have a, and honestly, I'm so excited that our pass rate is only a 30 to 40% pass rate or certification rate, because that means the people that come to our training are already of a certain caliber. And then the people that actually go through and get their certification are of the next caliber up. And so you're all constantly bubbling up, and to the point where if you are a certified active YFFR instructor, hold yourself up and hold yourself accountable, because you are one of the top 0.001% of the people that are actually out there teaching yoga at this level. Come on, it's not by accident. Like we said, every single minute of instructor school is filled. This is a 65-hour course. We help you out. We hold your hand. It's not like we are purposefully trying to cut you out, and yet people drop off as they go through because it's just that damn hard. And I'm proud of it, honestly. Because that means that the people who are going to sign up for this course are the people that we want to hang out with. I tell people all the time that YFFR, we only hang out with the best. And if you're not the best, you're probably not going to be hanging out with us for too long.
And I will say too that if you come to instructor school, or you want to come to instructor school really to have an intensive experience and not really wanting to certify or teach, that's totally okay. You didn't fail or anything. I know tons of people who had an amazing transformative experience, but for a myriad of reasons didn't complete certification or didn't join the instructor network or whatever, but still had this transformative experience. So in no way did those people not do it right or anything like that. It's a great, you can even consider it a retreat for yourself, an intensive boot camp retreat, and that's totally fine. We're just saying that doing the yoga for yourself and going through this experience for yourself is one thing, and then deciding that I want to offer this as an instructor is another thing, and spoiler alert, because of that, our goals for the next couple of years is to actually take the 5-day instructor school and do 2 different versions of it that are intensive retreat style. So we take away the instructor certification part of it, and just make it experiential for your own practice. And the result of that, and I can say this with confidence, is you will have the tools to prevent post-traumatic stress and increase resilience and cognitive reappraisal. And I can say that because we're clinically proven to that is the result of working with our protocol. So because so many folks have this desire to just have this intensive experience with the work, we are going to give you that so that Instructor School can be also that, plus the opportunity to teach it as well.
Yeah, I think that's a really critical point, because we do hear so many people say that, like, listen, I've gone through Instructor School. I've learned that this is a tool I need to implement and utilize for myself before I'm in a spot where I'm going to turn around and go and teach it to other people. And so I think that's a really, really good distinction. And I'd actually argue that we're having the same effect and the same experience here through ISBC. Because you said this is kind of like a master's level course in teaching. And so we had people record themselves doing a yoga class, not just teaching a yoga class, but actually doing a yoga class to look for their habits of doing yoga, right? And people are like, I have a habit of doing yoga. You know that you have a habit while you're doing yoga because it's become so subconsciously ingrained at this point, until you film yourself doing a yoga class and watch us like hear how we're teaching you to do it. And the eyes are open like, I didn't even know that I was doing that. And so we're actually through ISBC too giving yoga teachers that next level awareness of how they're doing yoga and how they're teaching yoga. So not only is it a master's level class of how to teach yoga, but arguably it's a master's class on that internal awareness and re-engaging through yoga practice as a yoga practitioner, as a yoga instructor.
This actually brings up maybe another opportunity of just offering a masterclass in practicing and teaching yoga itself. That's the thing, is we could totally sell this ISBC as a continuing education for yoga teachers, period. So so becoming certified in YFFR is the cherry on top if you want to go that extra step.
Mm-hmm. It's interesting. I just read, we had a couple of testimonials we've had a few of our first cohort of ISBC people certify so far.
Nice. People have got the cert in hand, like they've accomplished the mission, right?
It can't be done. It can't be done.
Yeah, it's really exciting. And so one of them submitted a testimonial, and just kind of to what we're speaking about is that she said she's been doing yoga for almost a decade, but it never occurred to her to take the yoga skills off of the mat. Oh. And so she's like, and it's like so cool because you don't that the yoga is like making you a better person. Like I always know I feel better after I take a class. I don't have as much anxiety. Like I'm just a better human. But then when you realize you can do that like off of your mat too, it's just like mind blowing. And that's the stuff that we're teaching.
Yeah. Yeah. When I hear feedback like that and other testimonials and so many different arenas and services of what we do, Eric and I always joke saying like, damn, I was going to quit today, but I guess I can't. I have to like keep going, right when I was going to quit, I saved someone's life, not us, yoga. Yeah. Anyway, so, it's true. Like the reason I think all four of us, are messaging each other at 9 p.m. about stuff and totally willing to, because we see the outcome and it's so great. It is so great. It's just like goosebumps. And this is an intensive experience going through ISBC, but I can pretty much guarantee you it's transformative, especially if you stick with it. Mm-hmm. So I'm pretty proud of what we put together, you guys. Mm-hmm. What other changes? Oh, let's actually talk, Jess, let's talk more about that timeline thing. So
I was going to go back to that. Sorry. Yeah. So we decided, so you'll have all access to the course for 6 months. So the course will take you 12 weeks if you keep up with it week to week. So we're going to start enrolling, I think, at maybe the week before Labor Day, I think. That's not like to for sure date, but right around there, end of August, early September, we'll enroll, and then you'll finish right before the holidays begin. If you stick with it week to week for the full 12 weeks. If you don't, no big deal. You'll have another 3 months after that with complete access to the course. If for some reason you need longer, if you need 6 more months, then you'll pay a nominal fee, about $15 per month. And that's just going to help support your support, basically. So it helps all the behind the scenes support maintain. So you'll have another 6 months to do that if you choose to enroll in that. If you go after 1 year, if you haven't completed the certification, then you lose your access. But if at any time during that first year you complete your certification, you join our instructor network, then you'll have access to that course forever. But the key is obviously completing the certification and joining the instructor network. And the reason, like, not only because we're providing so much support are we placing these restrictions, but also because we're trademarked. All of our protocol is trademarked, it's licensed. We don't want people just holding on to all of this information, all of this work that we've put together that they're not really licensed to have and put out there. We just don't want it to get into the hands of, of someone who would try to replicate it. Which, I guess that's the greatest compliment, is to be replicated, right? But, our protocol is research, is proven. And we're just trying to protect all of that. So
yeah, and we don't want it diluted. And that's exactly it. Like, if you're in, we're in with you.
Yeah.
But if you're not all the way in and kind of want to, skirt around it, then, we're not for you. And we're just, that's what it is. So yeah, so 6 months to complete, another 6 months with the maintenance fee. And then after a year time, if you've not joined the instructor network, then you'll be removed from the course. So, and listen, we're here to support you. So life happens. If there are extenuating circumstances, we are here for you to tell us about them and what kind of support you need. So we just have to put those guidelines in place to also encourage you to get the fire under the booty to keep going. Okay. So
one could argue honestly that having lifetime access to this, or access each year for the $120 for the instructor network, is worth $120 alone. Like, to go back and watch these videos over and over and over again, like, that's
oh, dude, the licensing fee of $120 a year for everything you have. Don't be surprised if things shift in the future, because that is a steal, my friends. That is a steal. So, so I'm pretty.
You can teach one class and make that back easily. Yeah,
exactly.
Yeah.
There's so much stuff. Like, I was giving a tour on a coaching call of our instructor network, like the toolkit and everything inside. And everyone's eyes are a little bit glazed over because of all of the layers of folders and curriculum, so there's a navigation tool and map, don't worry, but we provide a lot. Okay, so to recap, we are launching class 002 of ISBC just before Labor Day is when we're starting registration. Is that correct? Around there. Yeah. So it's going to be a fall cohort, basically.
Yes.
We've adjusted from 8 weeks to 12 weeks. It's the same amount of material, but we're infusing about 4 integration weeks to catch up, to rewatch things, to take time that you need. There is no rush to finish in the 12 weeks. So please do not rush through the information. We need to make sure you absorb the information, even if it takes you longer than 12 weeks to finish it. Price was $997. It's now going up to $1,200. Don't be surprised if it continues to go up. So if I were you, sign up now before 2025.
There are payment options as well. Like, so if you can't do the big chunk of $1,200, we do have like a 3 payment option that you can opt for instead.
Yes, thank you. And you remember that you are getting one-on-one coaching, not only from Lisa and her support team on grading and video coaching and feedback, but also we have a trainee hub, and my notifications are always on for that. So Sunday morning, I am writing back to you willingly. I'm working really hard on boundaries in my life right now, personal and professional, but it lights me up to answer these trainee questions. So we are all constantly talking. That's the support that you're getting. When you're a YFFR instructor, let me do a quick, what do they call this? Not hot take, but Lisa, what's your favorite part of being a YFFR instructor?
The support.
On our end?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Jess, your favorite part?
My favorite part is teaching. I'm one of the lucky ones. I get to teach a lot.
Yeah.
That's cool. Yeah.
My favorite part, well, I've always said from the beginning that I've wanted to support the town I live in, right? Those are the people that I will be calling if something happened to me and I want their shit together. So that's what I started. I just happened to live in Los Angeles. So my hometown first responders was LAFD and LAPD. And that's where I started because I wanted to work with my hometown department. And then everywhere that I have lived since then, I always made it a priority to teach for the agency, the department in my town. Even when I lived in, a small town in Iowa with a volunteer fire department, I was, teaching there. And on Thursday, I get to teach the cadets here at Albuquerque Fire and Rescue. And we've had a great relationship with AFR. Eric's taught them before, but this will be my first time teaching for them. And that is my favorite thing. And my other favorite thing is the fact that we've all known and felt and had anecdotal stories about how this work has really affected people. But now we have 2 clinical research studies that proves it. And so for anyone listening, toying with the idea of in-person or ISBC instructor schools, know that not only will your life be changed, but you will be changing other people's lives. So if that is of any interest to you, definitely sign up. But I think those are the things that we've learned. So my number one takeaway was that to fully prepare folks for what they're doing, what our expectations are, and what they're taking on with ISBC. Lisa, what do you think your number one takeaway was after this first cohort of ISBC?
Oh boy. There's so much to learn, and each person needs to allow themselves some grace to learn how much there is to learn and to know how much time it'll take. Like they can't just go through it and be like, okay, I'm done.
Right.
You have to keep going back. And that's like anything, like teaching yoga, you're constantly going back and reviewing. So there's just a lot. It's a lot of information. And it's all scientifically backed. So I found the inner science nerd that I always knew was in me. I love it.
Don't think of this as a race to the end. This is a deep dive in everything. Jess, what about you? What do you think your number one takeaway is?
I think similar to Lisa, just finding patience like on our end with ourselves and working through those hiccups, but also on the trainees and patience with yourself. Either if you're if you're behind the course, behind, even though it's self-paced, or if you're like eager to do more and it's not quite ready, or it hasn't been released yet. Just finding that patience with yourself through any hiccups or delays or anything like that.
I will say a little behind the scenes funsies is that midway through ISBC, I got strep throat, and I had planned to record. yeah, all this stuff and I couldn't. And so I said to Eric, who does teach this exact same stuff, but he just didn't expect that he was going to be filming it. And I was like, Eric, I literally have no voice. You have to go in and film all these classes you were planning to film, you know? And then there was, then we lost. Oh, and there was one where the audio didn't record. So at my godmother's memorial service afterwards, I had to go re-record it, and we lost a bunch of video and had to, so there was some behind the scenes sort of. Now we can look back at it and say that's funny, but
we rolled with it. We made it work, and
we did. And actually,
it's just yoga.
It's just yoga. And also it actually like gave us the opportunity, because once we lost those videos, the following week, we were going to in-person instructor school. I was like, well, this is a great opportunity to like film some stuff while we're here. So it always leads to something a little bit more special. Well, ladies, you've got work in the morning, so I should let you go. But I appreciate you guys. I appreciate you guys coming on with us, and so everyone knows this is like I said in the beginning, this is what makes the trains go down the track in all ways, including our podcast. And thank you for everything you guys do to make our work successful.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Hey, before we go, I want to remind you that training your mental and physical health is incredibly important, especially for those working in high-stress jobs like first responders.
And if you're interested in learning more about yoga for first responders, visit yogaforfirstresponders.org for our on-demand training app, online course platform, in-person training, and more.
Like this podcast, subscribe, and give us a great review. We are so happy to have you part of the YFFR mission.